Welcome back to Full Circle with Mikali. A very good morning to you. 111 that is our SMS line. This is going to cost you a shilling to talk to us. Switch TV KE on Instagram, Switch TV Kenya on Facebook, and we are all about podcasting right now. If you want to get into that scene, well, this is the conversation for you. It's time for Advice Circle. And this feels like a reunion. I feel like I'm home. Hi, guys.
Hello. Hey.
Oh, my goodness. Kindly introduce yourself to the people before I get,
My name is Martin Kigondo Martin, whichever works. Same guy. My background is in the arts, so I write, I direct, I stage stuff. I'm a filmmaker, so through and through artist. And here I am today as a podcaster.
Wow.
Yeah.
This I did not know about you, so this is very
really
interesting.
Didn't?
Yes.
Okay.
Reunion.
Reunion, for real, yeah. My name is Commander Wamboi. I'm a data scientist.
What?
So I'm
That is what you did after the thing.
Yes, that's what I
Okay,
did after the thing.
we're
So I'm a
gonna
data
tell you what the
scientist.
thing is.
I went to school. I'm a data scientist. That's what I do. I work for a company called Ajua, which does customer experience. So I lead the data science team efforts there. I'm also a technology entrepreneur. That's what I do. But in this case, I'm also a podcaster alongside Martin here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how I know these two gentlemen, I did not know they know each other. Martin, I've been to his plays before, amazing performances on stage. Now, Kamande, it's been 20 years.
It's been there like 22 or 20.
Okay,
yeah,
wow. Don't be like
15
that.
years,
Okay, well,
thereabouts.
15.
Okay, 15.
Maybe
Okay,
15
15.
years, yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe 13.
Yeah, that's where Martin and I met actually. When I met
When
you.
we were doing,
Yeah.
what is it
Traveling
called?
theatre.
Traveling theatre
Yeah,
on
traveling
stage.
theatre, yeah. Yeah.
That's how you guys met.
That's how we
how
met.
we
Yeah, so we were both fresh out of school. And so I think instead of going to do CPA or ICDL, whatever it is that guys do after
Yes.
school, we went to theatre because that's something that we enjoyed.
Yeah.
And we met. I went back to school because I felt more in love with technology and mathematics. And that's how I ended up being a data scientist. But I still had a passion
How are you
for...
in love with mathematics? How does that even happen?
Yeah, it happens.
How?
It happens.
Okay.
Everything is mathematical in this world.
We're not going to start that conversation
Yes,
right
let's
now.
not go there.
Okay, Gondu, let's not do it.
Not
Let's not
today.
Not
Not
today.
Yes.
today.
Not today.
Not today.
Yeah.
So that was many years ago, about
Yeah.
maybe those 15 years ago when you two met. When was the podcast born? Because that is what now, the reason the two of you were here together.
Yeah. Well, the last 15 months have been interesting. Yeah, for the whole world at least,
true.
because there's a shift that has happened.
Yeah.
In so many ways, you could look at it in so many ways, but you'll definitely note a shift. And this for us was a shift in a good way, because it put us in a place where we looked at something we'd been talking about for the longest time and decided to finally do it.
Okay.
So like he said, our friendship has been on for years and years. Then over the friendship, we discovered so many things we have in common.
Okay.
From the interests that we share, to the things that we enjoy, to the friends that we have, clearly, to the histories that we have. And in so doing, it came to a point where about 2 years back, so I'm actually the godfather to his son, yeah?
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a really deep friendship.
Yeah.
Okay, clearly it is.
So when the young Kamande, or at least his version, came into this life, we started talking about things that we also share around the things that we indulge in.
Okay.
And podcasting
What we
came
consume,
about.
especially.
What
Yes.
we consume.
Yeah.
And we looked at people like Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan, and these are podcasters who do the long form conversations, but also really go deep around parenting, around technology, around the arts, and they interview all these different people. And we noticed that we both enjoy this. So when COVID came, or at least the beginnings of the year 2020, we found ourselves, him away from the office and me away from shows, from performances. And every time we spoke on the phone, we'd share, what are you listening to right now? What about you? What about you? So around that time, someone really close to me passed on, not due to COVID, but it was their time to move on.
Yeah.
And she was really deep into celebrating what being an African means, because she'd spent years away from it. So coming back home, she wanted to be on the ground creating art pieces and all that. And around that time, we were having this conversation, and so we started talking about our love for Africa, you know. So,
I see it in the outfits.
oh yeah, there you go, and we see you too.
And we see you as well.
Oh, wow, yes.
You in the
There
theme.
you go.
Yeah, you
forgot
in the
about
theme.
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So to bring it home, it all started there. Our mutual love for Africa, but also our mutual love for growth,
Okay.
self-improvement. And then we started talking podcasting, and Busy Being Born podcast was born.
Yeah.
An interesting name. Why that name?
Why that name? It comes.
Busy being born.
Yeah, Busy Being Born, yeah.
Okay.
It's a spin-off of a quote by Bob Dylan, which says that if you're not busy being born, then you're busy dying.
Ah.
So we changed it a bit, and our phrase is, if you're not busy being born,
Then you're busy not living.
you're busy
That's
not living,
true.
right? And that's the idea that in life, you have to constantly grow. You have to constantly reinvent yourself day in, day out, right? And Martin talked about some of the influences that we have. It's people who've been very influential in our journeys. So, for instance, me figuring out my career and figuring out how to be a parent, figuring out how to be an African. These are people who've been very instrumental. So once you plug in a Tim Ferriss or a Guy Raz and listen to their podcast for 2 hours on a walk somewhere, it changes your life. Tim Ferriss changed my life for, and Martin and I share that. So we're like, okay, these are all very Western stories and they make sense. Why not hear the same stories from Africans? And the thing with, other short form conversations is that you never really get into the cracks of, who Mwikali is.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did she start out? What
Yes.
are the habits? What are her challenges and how does she overcome them? What are her daily habits? Maybe you have an order with which you do things in the morning, and that actually ends up being a very instrumental part of your day. You want to hear about that so that someone can learn from that. How did you, transition from theater into TV and now being one of the leading journalists in this country, right? Someone out there will be inspired by that. But in 7 minutes, unfortunately, it's not enough. It's
too short, yeah.
right? It's too short. So how about we talk to Mwikali for 1.5 hours? By the time we're at the 20th minute, Mwikali will be opening up.
Yes.
And we've worked on a set of questions that get us to that 20 minutes. And by the time we are prodding and teasing out all these insights, then we end up, first of all, benefiting from that. It's everything in life is selfish, right? So we first of all, Martin and I,
Yes.
and everyone who works with us ends up
Yes.
benefiting from those discussions. I've learned a lot. But at the same time, our audience will learn that. The second idea behind the podcast is that this is an archive for future generations.
Yes.
I'd want my son to learn from Sam Soko, who's the maker of Softy, and hear about his journey of 7 years trying to document the change in this country and what
Yes.
Bonnie is trying to do. The podcast will be there 50 years from now, and he'll learn from it. So it's not just about having that conversation there; it's also archiving it for future generations and learning from that, driving that change 20, 40, 50 years from there.
Wow. You've had some powerful conversations on the podcast as well. What would be the highlights for the both of you? Or maybe people had different highlights.
Oh,
maybe
man.
yours was totally different.
Totally different.
There was this
Okay.
conversation with this guy, which was like, it was it for me.
So at the end of every episode, you might hear us say, "Oh man, this has to be the best episode so far." Yeah, and that's the
Yes.
thing. Every episode feels like the best
That's
one
true.
just
I
yet.
totally relate.
Because, for instance, the one we've just released is like a couple of hours old. We featured Tony Moshama, and this is a brilliant human being from the way he looks at life and his brains, So the title is actually it's something around the fortitude of your mind, yeah?
Okay.
And how he's used his mental state to sort of push through everything that has been thrown his way and still stay creative. But before that, we had Sam Soko, we've had King Wakamenchu, we've had all this brilliant...
Dr. Shiko Gitau.
Shiko Gitau, yeah. Shiko Gitau got her PhD at 29, know?
She's been at Google and Microsoft,
All these
and she's
lessons.
Safaricom changing things, and
Yeah.
you don't get to hear her story for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
um,
just, they'll be here 15 minutes max. and
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
"Zach, thank you so
yeah.
much."
Yeah.
Just so you know, you have less than 15 minutes.
We'll
I'm
have
doing
you-
exactly
we'll,
the
we'll have
thing.
you on our podcast,
Exactly.
and we'll have this conversation for
Yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah, okay, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Yeah.
every episode is one of those. Everyone leaves you so different. So for instance, we've just we've sort of come in when the speaker before us is from a Christian background.
Yes.
And that's brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah. So the thing with a podcast is on this feature, we'll have someone who's totally not into that kind of way of looking
Yes.
at religion.
Yes.
Even if they even look at religion in that
At
way.
all.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
all. You know, so this is really dope. We have people in tech, we have people in the arts, and every episode, I wouldn't say this one is my favorite because
But
that's what I say about every
Every,
episode. Yeah.
and I understand because it's the same thing that happens.
Yeah.
Only that now we have limited time. We have to pay our bills and all of that. But what are some of the things to look out for anybody out there who's watching this for the first time and they're just like, I really want to get into the space of podcasting, but sijui hata ninaanzia wapi?
Yeah. First of all, there's very cheap equipment
Okay.
that you can find from a tech
Cheap
point of
ni
view.
aje, ebu tuambie,
Cheap is
ni-
that there's free software if you have a laptop.
Okay.
There's free software that you can use. The most important thing is the quality of your sound, if you ask me.
Okay.
Of course, you must have.
And I've asked this question the right guy.
Yeah. Wait, not to say I wouldn't answer this, but yes, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
I want to
Okay.
cover the basics and then
Okay.
go back to the most important thing.
Okay.
The sound is extremely important.
All right.
It's a challenge if your audience cannot make out what you're trying to say, or
Yes.
if it's a nuisance to your ears. A podcast is something that you listen to anytime while doing anything, right?
Okay.
And it can't be something that is ask your ears. You know,
Yeah.
it has to be at a good level, right? That's one. But as to preface that, you must first figure out what content you want to put out.
That's
Like
true.
all content creators, right? You must figure out what are you passionate about, what are you good at, what conversations are you willing to have. Do you want to have a co-host? Do you want to do it by yourself? Do you want to be it to be just you talking, or do you want to be somewhere where you interview guests? You have to make that decision, and it's very easy to give up. I had my own podcast a while back because I've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yes.
And I gave up because it's hard, especially in this market where it's a really long game. You don't have that many people listening to local podcasts. It's good to see the ecosystem opening up with people like the Sema Box, for instance, and them having an incubator, and the kinds of Adele and G-Money paving the way for the rest of us, right?
Yeah.
But back maybe 4 years ago, it was not the case, and I didn't have someone to push me to do it. Now, even on the days when and this is me vouching for having a co-host.
Yes.
On the days when you're like, oh man, how long can we do this? Yes, I love the lessons, but how long can we keep doing this while the numbers are, just climbing very, very slowly? Martin tells me, you know why we're doing this? Huh? Then he reminds you of, why.
Yes.
On the days he's feeling vice versa,
Yes.
then it's the same thing, right? So you have to make that decision for yourself,
Okay.
because it's not easy. I wouldn't say that it's easy, but if it was easy, everyone would be doing it as well.
That is true.
sure.
That is true.
Yeah.
And big up for getting back on it again. You'd have given up and just be like,
Yeah,
you know what, it's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Martin, you want to just do it, and getting in later on together, then now you understand the beauty of having somebody else walk the journey with you.
Yeah, yeah.
So tumesema tukue na kuna software.
Kuna software,
ya bure.
yeah, bure. It's I think Audible, not Audible, Audacity.
Okay.
I think that's the name. It's
Okay.
free, and yeah, you might maybe want to buy a microphone,
Okay.
and that might maybe set you back. A good microphone could be maybe 3,000 to 4,000 shillings.
Okay,
to
that's
start
good.
out with. Yeah, that's good, right?
That's
That's
good
affordable.
because it's for the long term.
It's for the long term.
Yeah.
But then eventually you start to climb from there. The most important thing is the content, and you knowing that this is something that you have to persevere. But if the content is good, you also have to determine, of course, things like how long is your podcast? Do you want to be long form like us in a market, in a time when attention is running really low
Yeah.
globally?
Wow.
But it's a decision you have to make at
That's
the end of
true.
the day. Yeah.
And when you look at the money bit of it,
Yeah. Yikes.
because he mentioned that it's the long game.
Yeah.
You're getting into it, and it's not like you'll just start today, first podcast, and like boom, mama, I made it.
Yeah.
And even people getting to know or understand what it is that you're doing, and even setting time to listen to that, even creating the awareness that unajua niaje kuna kitu fulani
guys
mimi
exist.
tunafanyangana na huku hivi usikize.
Yeah.
The money bit of it, how does that even play out?
Okay. Where to start? I would start the same way anyone getting into the arts would sort of advise anyone getting into the arts. You would tell them, let your passion lead. Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you think about the money first, then you've already started building the reasons as to why not to do it.
Yeah.
Because especially now in this ecosystem, we are yet to get to a place where people are living off like podcasting. A few, like you mentioned, the Jimanis and the Adeles might have sort of found a way around advertisements and endorsements and all that. But right now, what you sort of put on your mind first is how many downloads you're getting, how many people out there are interacting with your content.
Okay.
Then once you sort of have a good number out there, it's easier now to bargain with whomever wants to come on board. So for instance, for our sort of style, what we do is we plug in businesses. Yeah.
Okay.
So in this plugging in businesses, it sort of places us at a place where we can now talk money if we ever go in that direction.
Yes.
But right now, honestly, we are barely 20 episodes in. And this is like a new episode every 3-4 weeks.
Okay.
So it's slightly slow, but we've started it because we are passionate about it. Money comes in later. It's almost like YouTubing.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
money comes in slightly later when
Yeah.
your numbers are super insane.
Okay.
Yeah, so pole pole too. But not to say that there aren't any people out there who've made it big
yes.
with
I mean,
podcasting.
globally, it's $1 billion
It is.
industry a
Yeah.
year, right? Globally, and if you can see all these different companies focusing on podcasting. You see
Yeah.
Spotify, right?
Spotify is
focusing
here
on
now.
podcasting. Apple Music, even Facebook is doing something for podcasting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Last year, I think Joe Rogan signed globally, $100 million deal with
That's
Spotify,
insane. Yeah.
right? So it's a big market, and of course, the time will come for us in Africa, but we're not really thinking about that for now.
For now.
We're just focusing on how can we tease out these stories from and spotlight African excellence in
Yes.
long form, and do it while maintaining a very good level of quality.
Okay.
Let me just talk about also the inputs, because for us, like I said, we focus on good quality podcasts. And so even despite not making money, we've ended up kind of tapping into our social capital. So Martin from the arts and myself from technology. So we have people around us. So we have like a sound engineer, we have a studio, we have a manager, we have an assistant producer. So we have a group around us that ensures that, even if we're only getting 100 people, 200 people to listen
They're
to this
getting
episode,
Yeah.
they're getting the
Good.
best
Yes.
experience ever.
Yes.
If I go from, let's say, an NPR podcast and listen to the Busy Being Born podcast, then there's no difference in quality, right? And then what does that do to your ear?
Okay.
Then it keeps you coming back.
Yes,
Yeah,
for sure. That's
because
so
now
true.
the context is already there. You're in Africa. You're listening to these amazing people, and the quality does not deprecate in any way.
Okay.
Because that's been a huge challenge, of course, in Africa.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
people try to do things and then you end up getting, an ish experience.
Yes.
And we do not want that for our audience.
Absolutely.
And also in keeping up with the time, like I said, we want this to be something that stands the test of time.
Absolutely.
We know that 50 years down the line, someone, my grandson, might listen to this,
Yeah.
and then they
I like
learn
that.
something.
I like
They
that.
learn something.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm being told our time is up.
Okay.
It's not 2 hours.
I don't know. No. Maybe the next time. But how can people listen? Where is that? And the name again, so that
Yeah.
people can look out for that.
Okay, so we are the Busy Being Born podcast, and the simplest way to answer that is we are on every podcast platform.
Okay.
Yeah, so our mothership is Podbean, but the thing about Podbean is it enables us to reflect on every other platform. So check us out on Spotify, on Google Podcasts,
on Apple,
anywhere.
on Apple Podcast, everywhere.
Yeah.
And for those who want to podcast, there's so many platforms that give you the ability to kind of reflect yourself on. I think that's the best word, maybe.
Yeah.
Be on every streaming platform,
Okay.
and we are there. We on. If you go to whatever podcasting app that you might be using, then
Yeah.
the Busy Being Born podcast will be there. Overcast, Stitcher,
Everywhere.
will be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Busy Being Born.
Then to directly get in touch with us,
Yes.
you can do it on our social media pages.
Okay.
So on Twitter, we are at Stay BBB Pod.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stay Busy Being Born.
Okay.
Yeah. Stay Busy Being Born podcast. On Instagram, we are at 2BBorn, the number 2, B Born, just that,
Okay.
as you say, podcast. And on Facebook,
Facebook has more bandwidth, so we're like just the Busy Being Born podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interact with us there, and give us your feedback as well. Tell us who don't to listen for 2 hours too.
Yeah.
Locally.
Yeah, it
Yay!
could be Mwikali, right?
I don't think there's anything here with 2 hours.
Yeah, but that is what we do. We spotlight
Okay.
You have
African
stories.
excellence.
Yes,
Okay,
spotlight
sawa
African
sawa.
excellence.
Hey, sorry gift, I'm being told our time is up. Wait, nimesikia maliza na maliza. Okay. Asanteni sana kwa kuja, gentlemen. It was really nice to see you again, Kamande. I haven't
Nice to
seen
see
you
you as
in many
well.
years. Kigondi unajua tutaongea tu. Tutapatana huko kwa nini. But did you stage no? Never again.
I maybe went back during my long vacations, my
Okay.
long in
Okay.
school. Maybe did one more shreds.
Okay.
But I still enjoy the arts, and that's why I'm still good friends.
Okay.
With Kigondi
Cool
and
stuff.
the rest.
Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been amazing. It's been beautiful. It's been a great Wednesday morning. We get to do this all over again tomorrow. So tune in, be early, and remember, we're still celebrating mothers. Nawapenda sana. Have a good day. Adios.